story opens by showing a medical team handling the body of a mysterious, unidentified man. After confirming that several of his organs are still suitable for donation, the doctors prepare to perform an organ retrieval surgery. At that moment, they're briefly confused when they notice a strange tattoo on the corpse's wrist. Before long, that confusion turns into fear as the body slowly disintegrates and vanishes into ashes. Sometime after that incident, we are introduced to a teenager named Won So, who has just undergone a heart transplant surgery. Miraculously, during her post-operation checkup, she experiences no side effects at all, unlike most other patients. After the routine checkup, Won So talks with her father, Jung Min. From their conversation, it is revealed that her maternal grandfather died from heart disease and that Won So herself had stopped attending school long ago due to the same illness. Although her heart is now healthy again, Jung Min still forbids his daughter from engaging in strenuous activities, traumatized by the loss of his wife and mother-in-law to the disease. During the conversation, Jung Min notices the appearance of a mark resembling a tattoo on Won So's wrist. However, they assume it is merely a side effect of the surgery, unaware that the mark is actually the first clue that the owner of the donor heart was no ordinary person. On the other hand, Won So accompanies her father to the place where he teaches Taekwondo. In the past, Won So was a tournament champion, but her career had to come to a complete halt due to her heart condition. Now that her body has recovered, she secretly tries out a few techniques with a young junior. Surprisingly, she discovers that her physical strength has increased dramatically. Won So can run much faster, jump incredibly high, and is even able to stop a car that is about to overturn because of her actions. Although confused, Won So chooses to keep it a secret from her father. Her act of running at superhuman speed is captured on camera, and the video goes viral on YouTube. This catches the attention of a man named Ji Sung, who then starts following Won So. Unfortunately for him, his moves are quickly noticed by Won So. After the situation calms down, Ji Sung shows that he has no ill intentions. He also admits that a tattoo suddenly appeared on his wrist after he received a lung transplant. Ji Sung then demonstrates his power, revealing that he can create powerful gusts of wind with nothing more than a blow. From this, they conclude that the superpowers emerged as a result of the transplanted organs, without realizing that those organs came from a mysterious, unidentified man. Believing that more than one organ was donated, Won So and Ji Sung decide to search for the other transplant recipients. Elsewhere, a man named Ji Dong is able to manipulate electronic devices simply by snapping his fingers. This power emerged after he received a cornea transplant, and it made him rich as he could manipulate slot machines and lotteries. Meanwhile, in a luxurious villa, a woman named Chun Hwa believes that her father, Jong Chun, is on the brink of death and prepares to receive her inheritance. However, after receiving a pancreas transplant, her father's condition not only recovers, but becomes far healthier and more vigorous than before, and this greatly displeases her. Chun Hwa consults her father's personal physician, Dr. Song. According to the doctor, there's a strong possibility that the original owner of the pancreas had an extremely unique body. Chun Hwa begins to suspect that the organ her father received came from a superhuman. As time goes by, Won So begins to understand her powers and even manages to win a running competition thanks to her new abilities. One day, while she and Ji Sung are gathered discussing their plan to become vigilantes, a middle-aged woman who sells yogurt door-to-door suddenly appears. Her name is Son Yo. Son Yo explains that her body has become much healthier since receiving a kidney transplant. Won So takes a closer look and notices a faint tattoo on Sonyo's body, indicating that she too received a superpowered organ. They then sit together while enjoying their food. Unlike Won-so and Ji-sung, who already understand their respective abilities, Sonyo has not yet discovered what kind of superpower she possesses. She only realizes that her skin is now far brighter and healthier than before, making her look more beautiful than other women her age. Shortly afterward, Ki-dong appears and immediately introduces himself. With his ability to control electronic devices, Ki-dong is even able to access the personal data of Won-so and the others, including their status as recipients of superpowered organs. He also claims that he can track their locations through each of their tattoos. After that, they discuss the possibility of forming a superhero team. However, the conversation does not last long, as Ji-sung and Ki-dong begin to argue over the best method for their search. Chunhwa continues to monitor her father's condition now that he has regained his vigor. It turns out that her father is the leader of an organization that follows a cult-like doctrine and has many followers. After leading one of these deviant rituals, Young-chun speaks with his sibling, Byung-chun. Apparently, Young-chun harbors deep resentment because he was treated harshly when he was still ill. While he was sick, Byung-chun was still able to hear, allowing him to learn of all his brother's malicious plans. Young-chun's anger grows even stronger when he discovers that Byung-chun intended to seize his pharmaceutical business during his illness. In the midst of their argument, something unnatural occurs. When Young-chun strangles his sibling, his own facial skin appears to grow younger, while Byung-chun's body rapidly ages, his hair turning white in an instant. Afterward, Young-chun touches a nearby plant, which withers and rots immediately. It is at this moment that he realizes his new power, the ability to rejuvenate himself by absorbing energy from other living beings. The story then shifts to Yasun, a factory foreman who has an interest in Yun-shun. One day, one of his workers is injured in an accident caused by faulty equipment. Without anyone noticing, Yasun uses his power to heal his subordinate's wounds. As a side effect, Yasun's own body ends up bearing the same pain. However, he is able to neutralize that pain simply by drinking plain water. Meanwhile, Chunhwa discusses the strange incident involving Byung-chun with Dr. Song. From the doctor's explanation, Chunhwa concludes that her father now possesses superhuman powers as a result of the super organ transplant. Realizing the potential of this power, Chunhwa begins to take extreme measures. She orders her subordinates to hunt down all the recipients of the super organs, as she wants to seize those organs in order to obtain the same power for herself. Sometime later, Ki-dong is caught by the owner of a gambling arcade. It turns out he has been using his power to win the jackpot repeatedly, eventually causing the machines to break. Enraged, the owner demands that Ki-dong compensate for the losses. Cornered and desperate, Ki-dong secretly uses his ability to create a WhatsApp group and sends messages to Won-so, Ji-sung, and Sonyo, asking them for help. Arriving at the location, they appear awkward as it is their first time confronting burly men. Fortunately, Won-seo cleverly makes Ji-sung sneeze as hard as possible. Unexpectedly, the force of that sneeze creates a violent gust of wind that immediately hurls the casino owner and his henchmen away. Thanks to that moment, Ki-dong manages to escape together with them. Unfortunately, their escape does not go smoothly. The casino owner's car gives chase, and at the same time, Chunhwa's men are also hunting down Won-seo's group to capture the super organ recipients. Amid the panic, Won-seo makes use of Sun Yo's yogurt cart to get away. A thrilling chase becomes inevitable. With her super speed, Won-seo pushes the cart forward until they finally manage to put distance between themselves and both pursuing parties. That night, after they manage to escape, tension instead begins to rise. Ki-dong and Ji-sung get into a heated argument. Ki-dong exposes Ji-sung's past as a screenwriter who once plagiarized someone else's work. He also mocks Ji-sung for his poverty. The argument reaches its peak when Ji-sung blows the yogurt cart, accidentally causing it to crash into Sonyo. The situation grows even more chaotic, and they ultimately decide to part ways with one another in order to cool down the conflict. After returning home, Wonso breaks down in tears in front of Jongmin. She feels disappointed because she had just made friends, only for them to end up falling out. Wonso confesses that her father's overprotective attitude has made it difficult for her to have friends. The next day, a massive explosion occurs at the factory where Yeson works. Thick smoke engulfs the area, and several workers are trapped inside. By coincidence, Wonso's group, now reconciled and hoping to mend their relationship, arrives nearby. Hearing the explosion, they immediately rush to the scene to help. Through good teamwork, Wonso and Ji-sung manage to evacuate one of Yeson's workers, who is suffering from severe shortness of breath after inhaling toxic gas. After healing his subordinate, Yeson begins to suffer the side effects of his power. Seeing the critical situation, Ki-dong hastily searches the factory for drinking water so Yeson can recover. In the midst of the chaos, Son-yo accidentally touches both Yeson and Ji-sung at the same time. Miraculously, she is able to transfer Ji-sung's power into Yeson's body. Since Ji-sung's ability is related to oxygen, Yeson is finally able to breathe again. From this moment, it becomes clear that Son-yo's power is the ability to transfer the powers of fellow super organ recipients. However, shortly after that, Ji-sung realizes that Ki-dong has not returned. He immediately goes to look for him and finds Ki-dong lost in an area filled with dangerous gas. Ki-dong begins to lose consciousness due to a lack of oxygen. Without hesitation, Ji-sung gives him artificial respiration, and Ki-dong's condition gradually improves. After surviving the factory incident, Wonso's group talks with Yason. From that conversation, it is revealed that Yason is a liver transplant recipient.
우리 이름 하나씩 들지를 영어로 9.
The next day, Yan-sun goes to his workplace and accidentally ends up in the same elevator as the company's leader, who turns out to be Yang-chun. From this brief encounter, Yang-chun notices the tattoo on Yan-sun's arm and realizes that Yan-sun received an organ from Super Alpha. In turn, Yan-sun also notices changes in Yang-chun's appearance, seeing that he looks increasingly younger. From that moment on, Yang-chun becomes interested in Yan-sun's power. That night, Chun-hwa's subordinates successfully kidnap Yan-sun and plan to take his liver. Following Yang-chun's orders, Dr. Song is forced to perform the operation. Although the anesthesia has no effect on Yan-sun, the surgery is still carried out brutally in order to transfer a part of Yan-sun's liver into Yang-chun's body. As time passes, the next day Chun-hyung's forces move even more aggressively. They manage to kidnap Ji-sung, Ki-dong, and Son-yo. However, when they attempt to capture Won-so, who was with her father, they are overwhelmed instead. As Jong-min tries to protect his daughter, Won-so secretly uses her powers. Unaware of this, Jong-min believes that he is strong and that he has defeated the attackers through his own ability. Meanwhile, Ji-sung, Ki-dong, and Son-yo are thrown into a special holding cell. Ji-sung is sedated to keep him asleep, while Ki-dong's hands are restrained so he cannot use his powers. At the same time, Chun-hwa vents her anger at Dr. Song for choosing to side with her father. Her ambition to claim the superhuman organs for herself has collapsed. However, her rage turns into shock when she sees her father's appearance, now completely youthful. This transformation turns out to be a direct effect of Yason's liver transplant. Dr. Song explains that the reason he chose to help Yang-chun is that when Yang-chun was alone, he was suddenly dragged into another dimension and confronted by Shockmaster, who appears to be Super Alpha. After successfully withstanding the creature's attack, Yang-chun returns to the real world in a new state, with a younger body. He also realizes that he now possesses additional powers. When Young Chun goes to inspect the superhuman prisoners, the guards, who fail to recognize him, block his way. Without any difficulty, Young Chun beats them down using his new powers. He then sets his sights on Ki Dong's corneas, hoping that Dr. Song will once again help him carry out another transplant. Before the operation begins, Ki Dong manages to snap his toes, allowing him to send his location to Wan Seo, while also unlocking the cell where his two friends are being held. In short, Young Chun successfully transplants one of Ki Dong's corneas into his own eye. From that moment on, he is able to manipulate electronic devices simply by snapping his fingers. Ki Dong is then moved to the same room as Ye-san. There, he appears devastated by the loss of one of his corneas. Ye-san comforts him and promises that he will try to restore it once the situation allows. After receives a location message from Ki Dong. Together with Jong Min, Wan So heads to the place where her friends are being held. At the same time, Young Chun holds a grand event to show off his youthful body to his cult followers. He astonishes them by curing several of their illnesses, and he can even neutralize the side effects of his powers simply by drinking water, just like Yasin. His followers begin to worship him as a god. However, everything comes to a halt when Young Chun senses Wan So's presence drawing closer. As soon as they meet, Wan So immediately attacks to save Jong Min. Every wound Young Chun receives is healed simply by drinking water. At this point, Wan So realizes that she is facing the combination of Yesin's and Ki Dong's powers. She warns Young Chun not to touch her father, knowing that he can drain the life energy of his victims. Sanyo and Jisung, who have managed to escape, appear. They exchange words of relief and talk among themselves, completely ignoring Young Chun. This angers him, and a fight becomes inevitable. Wan So manages to evacuate Jong Min, who recklessly rushes in to attack Young Chun. At one point, Ji-song manages to hurl Young Chun away with a blast of wind far stronger than usual. This surge in power occurs because San Yo unconsciously transfers part of Wan So's strength into Ji-song's body when they hold hands. After recovering, Young Chun corners Ji-song by flicking his forehead, then restrains San Yo. From all of these, Young Chun comes to understand San Yo's true ability, the power to transfer superhuman abilities from one body to another. Realizing this, Young Chun sees Sanyo as a shortcut to obtaining Wan So's and Ji-song's powers without having to take their organs. Young Chun forces Sanyo to obey his commands, threatening to kill her friends if she refuses. In that moment, Wan So manages to launch an attack when Young Chun's attention is diverted by Ki Dong and Yosin's escape. This strike gives Sanyo the opening she needs to resist Young Chun's orders. At that point, Young Chun reveals his ambition to become an immortal god by preserving his youthful body and seizing all the remaining powers of the superhumans. The battle erupts, and in an instant, Wan Seo is overwhelmed. Ki Dong drops various heavy objects to hinder Young Chun's movement. Although the attack is fairly effective, it also devastates the surrounding area and triggers the emergence of an electric robot, causing Ki Dong to recall dark memories from his childhood. Amid the chaos, Young Chun rises again and resumes pressing the attack on them. Young Chun orders Sun Yo to transfer Wan So's and Ji-sung's powers into his body. However, in order to turn the tables, Sun Yo instead uses her own trick to transfer part of Young Chun's power to Wan So. Wan Seo rises even stronger and manages to continue the fight in an epic battle, bringing Young Chun down. After Young Chun is defeated, Ki Dong focuses on a massive electrical surge that threatens to trigger a devastating fire. Son Yo then transfers the powers of her three friends into Ki Dong's body so he can neutralize the energy. In the end, the effort succeeds. Once the situation is safe, Son Yo prepares to return everyone's powers to their rightful owners. In the middle of the process, Young Chun suddenly rises again, trying to seize the opportunity to steal their powers. However, Wanso is ready. Using Jong Min as a distraction, Wanso launches the decisive blow, finally bringing Young Chun down for good. As his powers fade, Young Chun's body rapidly ages and becomes extremely weak. Ki Dong then sends Young Chun back to his cult stage as punishment for all his crimes. The followers who once worshipped him can only watch as their leader stands in shame within his frail, aged body. When everything finally returns to Kom, Wanso's group sits together and chats casually. From that moment, the idea of forming their first superhero team is born. They agree to name it High Five, and the film ends.